Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. I'm Dr. Moby, and let's welcome Kim. How are you doing, Kim?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming to our show. Kim is a well-trained dog trainer, so let's learn from her. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, Kim.
Well, I live in Florida. I'm actually a stay-at-home mom, but I also train dogs. That came about. Always wanted to be a marine biologist when I was
Mhm.
growing up. So I have a degree in marine biology, but I went and I got an internship at a oceanarium, which is kind of like SeaWorld, but it was in Hawaii.
Mhm.
And it was an internship, so I wasn't hired. And at the end of it, I'm like, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But I knew the principles of training. I knew the principles of breaking down the communication barrier to get an animal to do what I wanted them to do. So I trained with with a dog trainer. I did some work with the zoo, with Noah.
Mhm.
And then I came back to the States. I'm like, well, what do I do now? Again, I'm like, oh, work at PetSmart. And people hear PetSmart, they're like, oh. Um, but I knew what I was doing. And I had my daughter and I decided to create my own business. I'm like, I love helping people and I'm really good at what I do. So let
Mhm.
me create my business. And over the past 2 years, I've really been trying to focus on what's going on in between the dog's ears, right? Like what's going on in their head that is influencing the way that they react to the world around them. And in doing so, it's helped me become more clear on helping people break down that communication barrier and get our dogs to actually do what we want them to do.
Mhm. So that is very interesting because, as we know, dog is best friend.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's see how best friend is reading us or how we are reading our best friend. So we're gonna break down. So tell me first, I know you had always kind of loved, dealing with pets, and you've studied marine biology, but you had that great communication skill with animals. So that always helped you. But tell me, what is more special about dogs versus cats versus other animals?
So I learned with any specialty, there's like special words that not a lot of people know. So I'm gonna say the word, but then I'm gonna describe it. So with animals, with anything furry and fuzzy and things that we deem, oh, it's so cute, right? Like we always say that when we see a dog or we see a cat, something small and furry. The term is neoteny. It's kind of like a childlike, babyish quality, right? The eyes are bigger, everything else is smaller. And so that's, I think, what draws a lot of people to
Mhm,
dogs
mhm,
and to animals in general. But the reason that I like to work with dogs is because oh man, the personalities that you get are just unreal. And a dog is always gonna be there for you. Um, of course, I can't remember all the quotes and things like that, but a dog loves you more than they love themselves sometimes. And so being able to have that relationship,
mhm.
I'm getting off verklempt. I'm getting off, I can
Yeah,
feel
I
it.
can see that.
Don't cry, you're on live TV. um, but it's a relationship that literally you can't have with a human
Oh,
sometimes.
wow.
And your dog is never going to tell you that you're not good enough. Your dog is never going to tell you that your butt looks really bad in those jeans. You might want to try something different, or girl, you need to stay away from the pizza. But the intelligence, the experiences that you can have with your dog, and it's just the fact that they see things in a completely different way. When I am training somebody in their home or just training anybody, I like to equate dogs to aliens because they have no idea what's going on. They've been brought into this world, so they don't know what a lot of the sounds are. They don't know um, a lot of times the processes behind things happening, and so when we're able to show them that, they're able to cope better with the world around them. And not just that, but seeing them interact with something for the first time, like it's comical. You're just like, oh wow, look at that. Like seeing a dog see a duck for the first time, like, what? Like, and you get this Scooby-Doo head tilt, like, hmm? Um, or just go through something different that you wouldn't normally do with your dog, like taking them for a walk in the city versus a hike out in the woods. It's just getting them, and maybe I'm just a dog geek, apologize. But getting to see them see the world through a new set of eyes, it's kind of cool. Or at least I think it is.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, that sounds very, very interesting. Big, I've never heard all this passionate. So, but that's great. I want to learn more about that. So, tell me a little bit also about how do they perceive us, so versus other, animals, or so why they are more bonded to humans versus cats or any other dog or any.
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons why humans can have the relationship that they do with their dog is because you've all heard of dogs being pack animals, and there's an alpha in the group, and the alpha makes all the rules. The alpha determines what resources dogs can have. That good food is for that pack over there, and you know what, you're kind of slacking, so you only get this, this stuff. But the alpha sets all the rules, and that's what really draws dogs in. When someone says the word alpha, I'm not a big fan of that word, simply because I've heard it used so many times, and I picture a big burly dude with his hands on his hips, his head tilted to the side, his chin tilted up. I'm alpha, and it kind of it makes me mad. But so when I think of that, I think of that as a relationship. So you're the one giving your dog all of these amazing things. You are the one giving your dog all of these amazing experiences, and that is what draws your dog to you, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is they view it us as different, or they view us more favorable.
They view us as more favorable, simply because we're the ones giving them all of the good things. With Now, you can have a good relationship with any animal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, but when it comes to the pack animals, you being the one in charge and not in a domineering or expecting that animal to be robotic, right? Like, I said this, do it, that type stuff. But whenever you're dealing with an animal that comes from a pack mentality, you being in charge and you taking care of that dog, and not just taking care of it, but showing the dog and illustrating, hey, I got you. At that point, the dog's like, okay, I don't have to worry anymore. Like, it's good. I'm good. We're good. Um, yeah.
okay, yeah. So that makes sense. Also, tell me a little bit about how is dogs they interact with each other. How is their interaction? So, for example, the male over there has of course the partner, and then so do they're more happy with male dogs, or they're more happy with female dogs, or how is their interaction?
So, um, when it comes to male, like, are you talking like male dogs with female owners and or male owners, or are you talking about that
Yeah,
dynamic?
yeah, that both types. So among them, so
Okay.
as compared to male owner versus female owner,
Okay.
so how is their interaction, whether it's a female dog or male? Does that matter?
It doesn't really matter. And I've heard many times, and I've noticed this myself. Sometimes a male dog will be better with a female handler, and it's just a yin and yang, right? Or a male I'm sorry, a male human will be better with a female dog. And again, it's just the way that they feed off of each other.
Okay.
um, but at the same time, it really depends on the personality of the dog, and the human's personality, right? I've said, and also how the lifestyle of the human, right? Like, I've heard of many people, they get this massively high energy dog, and they're kind of chill people, but like, oh, but I've heard so many great things about them. You didn't take that one aspect of the dog that is its main personality trait into account. So now this dog doesn't have an outlet, and it's, bad stuff is allowed to happen because they're not getting the things that they need from the human, right? But it really, I feel like that's a cop-out answer, right? Like there's no right or wrong answer, but it really just depends on making sure that the dog is getting everything it needs and the human is able to get everything from the relationship that they need as well. That's one of the main reasons I love training dogs. Like someone in my free group's like, I told my dog to do it and he did it. I'm like, oh, isn't it amazing when your dog does the work? You don't have to do anything. It's great. So yeah.
So tell me, what are some of the tips, anybody when they're thinking about getting a dog? So one thing I think so far you've told that personalities matter,
Yeah.
so don't get your dog way out of your personality, high energy, and you are like really low in energy.
Right. Yeah. So that's I think key. Do your research. Make sure that the dog you're getting isn't going to need like, to run, a couple miles a day, isn't going to need 5 hours of training every day because they have so much mental stuff going on because they're of that intelligence. Um, Another thing is, and this might sound a little crazy, know the rules that you want for your house. Okay. And the reason that is because a lot of times when we bring dogs into our home,
Mhm.
we were just like, we love you. We want you to be happy. We want to give you everything that you want. And then the dog kind of becomes a spoiled brat. It's because everything is just given to them. They don't have to work for everything. They don't really have to listen to anything. Um, Everything is just expected from them. But so when you create rules for your house, and you're not withholding anything from your dog, but you're creating rules for your dog to get the resources that you want to give them. And
Mhm.
when you do that, your dog has a better work ethic. They know that there are rules, and you're putting yourself in the top tier of that pecking order. You're becoming the alpha for
Mhm.
that dog, and you're not doing it in a domineering way. You're not doing it in a mean way. You're not doing it where you're withholding the things that your dog loves, but you're just setting rules and boundaries. And I'm sorry if this upsets anybody, literally just like you do with children.
Yeah.
Your dog has to learn how to life. And if you're not there to show them, it's out the window. Yeah.
So that is important. So they should first you should know or don't. I mean, every dog is different, so you need to be studying a little bit personality, so or at least know. So what are the high energy versus average versus low energy?
Right. So generally, the high energy dogs are the working dogs, the herding breeds. Um, the dogs that had jobs way back then, the hunting group, like terriers and the smaller dogs, their jobs were
Mm.
hunting rodents. They're tiny. They can get into small crevices. They can go get those little guys, but they had to move fast. They are high energy. Um, German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, those are the first two that come to my head for the working breeds. Um, they worked. They literally had a job. So they were always on. Almost raptor smart, um,
Mm.
from what I've heard. And I taught my dog using some pepperoni grease, her right from her left, and then my right from my left in a span of like maybe 7-8 minutes just to do something different. And I afterwards I kind of cried. I'm like, I'm so sorry. You're so smart. I haven't been exercising that at all. I'm so sorry. Um, but so yeah, look, AKC is a wonderful site, and it's just akc.org to find out the history of the dogs, how big they're going to be, the general temperament of the dog. And if you're getting a dog from a breeder, then at that point, look at the temperaments of the mom and dad. They're breeding them, so they should have the lineages. And you can look at the jobs that the past lineages had. You can look at the abilities of the past lineages. If you're just getting a dog from a shelter, the best dogs come from shelters because they've had the bad. other side, right? Like before you get them, they've experienced those bad things. So they get on the other side and they're like, I'm never messing this up. What do you want me to do? And I'll do it. Do you want me to do your taxes? I can do that. I'll learn how to add. I'll grow an opposable thumb. But you understanding the type of dog that you're bringing into your house is going to enable you to do the things to give the dog what it needs.
Hmm.
Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So also important is for the personality. So you mentioned some of the organization you can read about different dogs and see different breeds, and
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about where to. I know dog adoption is
Mhm.
pretty good. You can do some adoption there, or you can adopt. A lot of dogs are there for adoption. So even when you adopt, you need to do little homework reading about them, right?
Yeah. So we're moving into the end of the year, and that's when a lot of people are like, it's Christmas, let's get a puppy. And what happens is you have all this big influx of dogs. You have big outflows from shelters. You have big, people get a lot of dogs from breeders. Like that's the big season. But what a lot of people don't talk about, or the news doesn't talk about, is that in February, at the end of January or February, they have a massive influx of dogs to shelters because people are like, I can't handle this.
Mhm.
I can't deal with a puppy. Or I adopted this dog from the shelter, so it'd be a family member, and all it does is pee everywhere. Okay, I feel your pain, but you weren't ready to take on those dogs' problems. And even a puppy has problems because it doesn't know how to life in your home. You have to show it that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is you have to have a lot of tolerance, and it's like any kid. Even they will need a lot of training, and also they need bonding with you to know what makes you angry or happy. So I'm
Yeah,
sure they read that. There's a two-way communication has to establish, right?
absolutely. And our dogs can read us better than we can read another person.
Wow.
I can look at somebody and I know that sounds might be a little, are you sure? Um, but I can look at somebody and say, okay, well, that person has this color hair and they might be feeling this way based on their posture, right? Our dogs can sit next to us and know how we're feeling. And you can question me all day long.
Mhm.
But our dogs read our body language because that's how they read each other. That's how they communicate with other dogs. So they're masters at looking at our behaviors. And then of course there's the voice, right? Like, a high happy voice is good, right? Like mom's happy, dad's happy, oh awesome. But then you use the deep voice and the dog's like, oh man, I'm sorry, what I do, right? So it's a combination of them reading us and the way that we interact with them. Yeah.
So they're reading our eyes, and also our basically posture, and also they're reading our language, right? So these are the three important things they're reading, right? So,
Yeah. And this is I just gave a talk last night in another group, and I said I say this with as much love as I possibly can. Dogs are master manipulators. Okay, they want to do the least amount of work and get the most amount of reward. And it's literally just like humans. Like if we could sit at our jobs all day and scroll Facebook and buy stuff on Amazon and still get paid the same amount, everybody would be doing it, right?
yeah.
And so um hold on. Apologize. I was telling a story and I got off track. Um,
Yeah, we were talking about the reward and
so sorry. Um, but yeah, so um, our dogs are always looking for our patterns because they're trying to get ahead of us and know what's going to happen.
Mm,
Right. So they're very good. And again, like I said, this is how they read each other's body language. They look for twitches in their ear. They look for tightness around the jawline. They look for how the hair is sitting differently on a dog's body. That's how they communicate. So watching us and what we do, the exact same thing. They're trying to figure out our patterns. They're trying to being able to anticipate what's going to happen. So yeah, they can totally read us. Yeah.
Okay, great. It was such a wonderful experience learning about dogs' behavior and so forth. So tell me any final thoughts you have for my audience.
I think that if you want to bring a dog into your life, doing your research and just having an idea about what that dog could need, whether it's a puppy and we have to teach our dogs how to life, or whether we're bringing a dog home from a shelter, and knowing that that dog might not have had the best start, but these are the things that they might not know, and we have to be ready for that. And it's not their fault, and it's not your fault as the human, but you have to work together. Um, and then, oh my God, I could literally sit here and talk for hours about dogs.
I see that.
um, but I want to say, be open to different possibilities with your dog, because like I said, everyone has a different personality, and you can go on AKC, you're like, okay, I want this dog because it has this, this, and this, and I love those qualities. And then you bring the dog home and it's none of them. And you're like, my dog's broke. No, your dog isn't broke, but find a way to roll with it. Find a way to work those things that you want from your dog into your life. Not demanding, but find it where your dog likes doing it and you're happy as well.
Oh, wow. That is such a fascinating. Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you and learning more. And where people can check you out on your podcast or your blog or something.
I don't have a podcast yet. I feel like I'm just getting started in the digital space. So you can go to Facebook and just search for Kim Hawkinson. I'll have a little German Shepherd as my thingy, or you'll see my picture. And then you can also go to onpointdogtraining.com. much chaos with the website, but it is up. And yeah, and I'll be putting more on that and building more out. And I'm always having challenges, always putting more things out, just because, oh my goodness gracious, it's literally like people. We have to treat it, we have to help them life. So yeah.
Well, thank you. You take care. It was a pleasure talking to you. I wish you can come more, for we have a lot of dog questions and I don't have anybody to get answers from. Hopefully you come back again for that. Okay.
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, take care.